Donald Trump in Chinese is what? 唐纳德特朗普 What? 阿诺德施瓦辛格 Huh? 莱昂纳多迪卡普利奥 What is going on? Why are Chinese names for Westerners so weird? Hey everyone, it's Jared Madsen here with Learn Chinese Now. So, if you haven't been living in a cave, you probably know there's this guy named Donald Trump who's been in the news lately. So, let's say you're chatting with your Chinese friends and the news comes up. How do you say Trump in Chinese? And what if you want to talk about other politicians, celebrities, and athletes? Do you just say their English names? Or do you make something up in Chinese? Or is there a standard Chinese name? Well, we're going to lay it all out for you today. But before we do, if you like this channel and the stuff we're covering, give us a nice little like and subscribe. So, there's an official Chinese name for Donald Trump, and here it is. 唐纳德特朗普 Wait, let me say that again. 唐纳德特朗普 What? That doesn't sound anything like the original. Okay, to get this, you have to understand that Chinese is actually in some ways a really limited language. You see, in English, it has something like 15,000 syllables. Trunk is a syllable. Foot is a syllable. Bee is a syllable. But Chinese only has about 1,300 syllables, so less than 1/10. What does that mean? Well, I'll give you an example. Chinese doesn't have complex consonant clusters. So the stir in strength, Chinese just doesn't have it. The guth in strength, Chinese also doesn't have it. Chinese words are pretty much all consonant vowel like du or ma, but maybe they have an n or a ng at the end, like dun or mang, and that's it. Now, you might say, doesn't that make Chinese kind of a crappy language? No, it doesn't, because Chinese has a million different homophones. So, the same sound can sometimes mean dozens of different things depending on context. So, Chinese is great for rhyming, puns, poetry, and all sorts of other cool stuff. All right, so let's get back to the name Donald Trump. So the ald in Donald and the are impossible in Chinese. So to approximate, nald, we use na de, and instead of we use pu. And because Chinese doesn't have the tr in Trump, you have to start with the word te lang. Here's another example. Bill Clinton. Br Clinton. Chinese can't end words with an L, so Bill is BR. And Chinese can't start words with cl, so Clin is Clin. But here's another question. Why does the word for Donald start with a T? Tang na de. Why not simply say Deng na de? Remember, I mentioned that there's a million different meanings for each sound in Chinese. So, you really want to avoid any sounds that might have a bad meaning and to use sounds that might have good meanings. Like Tang sounds like the Tang Dynasty. So, it has a broad, powerful appeal. Whereas Deng sounds like Mai Dang Lao, which means McDonald's, which is maybe a little low class. Maybe, I don't think so, but some people might. Although, maybe Trump doesn't mind. Here's another example. The easiest translation of Disney would be Disney, but the middle character means die, so that's not going to work. So the official translation of Disney is Disney, even though it doesn't sound quite as close. The Elon Musk translation is interesting. They call him 马斯克. Because ma means horse. And so, for a guy creating electric cars with insane horsepower, this name fits right in. So, if you're a Western company or celebrity going to China, you gotta make sure that you have a good Chinese name. When Coca-Cola went to China back in 1978, they didn't put any Chinese on their bottles. The problem was, at that time, no one could really read English. So, shopkeepers would make up their own Chinese translations to sell the bottles. And these were completely and totally ridiculous. One of them was 蝌蚪啃蜡, which means tadpoles gnawing on wax. Maybe not so great for branding. So, Coca-Cola decided to take over and put 4 Chinese characters on their bottle. 可口可乐, which means something like it tastes good and it makes you happy. So yeah, significantly better. So does everyone have to come up with a good name in Chinese for themselves when they go to China, or does someone do it for them? So nowadays, it's pretty much all done officially, especially for politicians and the like. Basically, the Chinese and Taiwanese governments come up with a standard translation of people's names that they require all media organizations to use. There's even a giant dictionary called the 世界人民翻译大词典, which is called the Great Dictionary for translating names of people from around the world. But China and Taiwan actually don't see eye to eye on a lot of these translations. When George W. Bush was president, China called him 布什, and Taiwan called him 布希. When Bill Clinton was in office, China called him 克林顿, and Taiwan called him 克林顿. So, they're not completely different, but you can still tell there's a difference when you hear them. Okay, so the official name for Donald Trump is 唐纳德特朗普. Do you have to spell out all 6 syllables each time? No. Fortunately, pretty much everyone famous has a nickname because their full Chinese names are too long. For Trump, most people call him 川普, which is a cute little nickname. There are a bunch of other funny examples. The soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo's Chinese name is 克里斯蒂亚诺罗纳尔多. Yeah, try saying that 5 times fast. So, people just call him C 罗. The actor Benedict Cumberbatch is 本尼迪克特康伯巴奇.
It's strange.
So, people just call him 卷福, which means curly blessing. So if you really want to talk news, talk celebrities, learn their nicknames, and save yourself a lot of effort. So there you go, folks. Now you know that Chinese translations of English names sound nothing like the original. You know why they sound nothing like the original. You know who comes up with the names that don't sound like the original. And you know that there's probably an easier nickname out there to learn. Are there any crazy names for people or places you'd like me to talk about? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, 再见! If you enjoy the deeper meaning behind Chinese culture, folklore, legends, and strange true stories, then come explore more with me on Jared Tells Tales, where mystery, meaning, and the otherworldly still live on. Click the link to watch your first tale.